Howdy y'all, and welcome into Wylie Sports Guy. I'm your host Clayton, and welcome in to the Wylie Sports Guy long form recap today on May 24th of 2025. Before we get started with our recap, I just want to let y'all know that tomorrow we will not have a recap. On Sundays, I will be taking the day off because that is the day that the Lord said that we shall rest on. So do not worry, I will bring you the Saturday and Sunday scores now on Mondays. So catch Wylie Sports Guy Monday, Saturday, Sundays we'll have off, but don't worry, we'll cover the weekends all on Monday. But let's get into the sports news today. We'll start off today with NCAA Softball Super Regional Game 1s and a couple Game 2s. Recap from yesterday. Florida ended up winning 6-1 over Georgia. Mississippi won 9-7 over Arkansas. Texas Tech won 2-1 over Florida State. Texas Tech, for the first time, will be going to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. That action begins on Thursday. On Wednesday, I will give y'all all of the games that you need to be looking out for. South Carolina won 9-2 over UCLA. Oklahoma, with an amazing start from Sam Landry, won 3-0. Nebraska and Jordy Ball continue to make waves as they continue to disrupt the College World Series on the women's side as they beat Tennessee, 5-2. Clemson unfortunately loses in a close one in 10 innings as Texas wins 7-5 and Oregon won 3-2 over Liberty. There's been one game that is already finished this afternoon. Georgia gets the series tied up to go to a pivotal Game 3 tomorrow for that spot in Oklahoma City. They beat the Gators 2-1, and at the time on ESPN right now, South Carolina leads 3-1 on UCLA in the top of the sixth. If South Carolina wins, they will claim their spot in Oklahoma City. Moving on to the rest of today's games, Oklahoma will play Alabama here at 2 o'clock on ESPN. The game after that will be Tennessee and Nebraska, Liberty and Oregon at 6, Arkansas and Mississippi at 8 p.m. on ESPN2, and then Clemson and Texas in Game 3 of their series at 8 on ESPN. Let's now move on to NCAA Baseball Conference Tournament recaps. Yesterday in the SEC tournament, Ole Miss just continues to have Arkansas's number as they win 7-5 over the Razorbacks. Grambling wins 16-2 over Southern to keep their postseason tournament aspirations alive. UTSA beat Florida Atlantic 6-3. Arkansas Little Rock wins 4-1 over Lindenwood. Oral Roberts won 8-1 over Omaha. Arizona wins 12-1 over West Virginia. Abilene Christian comes back to beat UT Arlington 9-7. Houston Christian officially claimed their spot yesterday in the NCAA tournament. They win 16-11 over New Orleans. LSU get rid of the hard-charging Aggies out of the SEC tournament, as the Aggies most likely will now not have a shot at the NCAA tournament. 4-3 after a controversial call on a play that would have scored the tying run for the Ags, but Ben Royo was claimed to be interfering with the LSU first baseman Jared Jones. That would get away the pivotal run that the Aggies had, and LSU would end up winning that game 4-3. TCU takes a commanding win over Kansas 11-1, and Grambling beats Florida A&M 13-0. Here's some missed scores from Thursday's set of games. Like I said, Houston Christian, they won Game 1 of their series, so they won 8-3. So that means how they won 2 out of 3. They will move on to the NCAA tournament. And then North Dakota State won in a semifinal against Oral Roberts 4-0. We have one game that is already complete in today's slate. Tulane moves on to the American Championship as they beat UTSA 6-3. At this time, DBU and Jacksonville State are playing. They are in the top half of the 8th inning. That game is 5-3 Jacksonville State. Arkansas, Little Rock, and Eastern Illinois are currently playing in the championship game. If Eastern Illinois were to win, there would be a Game 2. Also in the championship round for the Summit League Championship, North Dakota State and Oral Roberts. Grambling and Florida A&M will play in a semifinal today. Abilene Christian versus Utah Valley in the Western Athletic Conference Championship. And then Arizona versus TCU tonight at 6 p.m. on ESPNU. That will be for the Big 12 Championship. We'll break down the rest of the Sunday championship games on Monday. Now we will head on to the NHL. Last night before the game, Jim Neal was officially announced as a finalist of the GM of the Year awards in the NHL. And then Alexander Ovechkin on Thursday won the Mark Messier Leadership Award. The closest thing I can compare that to is probably the Walter Payton Man of the Year. That's the closest thing I could compare it to. So think of that, but like in the NHL side of things. Moving on to Game 2 yesterday between Edmonton and Dallas. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins led the way for the Oilers as a power play goal. Would be the only goal of the first period, and it would be 1-0 Edmonton at the end of the first period, as that assist came from Evan Bouchard and Leon Draisaitl. And then it was all Edmonton yet again in the second period, as Kulak gets a goal. It's assist from Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard. And then Brown with assists from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Wallman. Edmonton would pretty much lead the rest of the way. They would win 3-0, and now the series is tied at 1 apiece. But some controversy did happen last night after a terrible slashing call to Rupe Hintz from Darnell Nurse. Was unfortunately only a 2-minute minor, but I agree with head coach of the Dallas Stars, Pete DeBoer, as that it was not a 5-minute major, but if it was Connor McDavid in that situation, maybe something else would have happened. Also tonight, Game 3 of Carolina Hurricanes and Florida Panthers will be tonight at 7 p.m. on TNT, True TV, and Max. Next up, we'll talk about the NBA last night, as the Knicks and Pacers had Game 2 of their series last night. At the half, it was the Knicks up by 3 at the half, 52-49. But then those stingy Pacers would come back once again. They'd win 114-109 last night. Indiana is now up 2-0 in the series. Pascal Siakam had a career-high playoff score for himself. He had 39 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. Miles Turner would follow right behind with 18 points, 1 assist, and 3 rebounds. Halliburton had 14 with 11 assists and 8 rebounds. Aaron Nesmith had 12 with 1 assist and 7 rebounds. And then Andrew Nembhard right behind them with 12 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. TJ McConnell would also record 10 points, and Obi Toppin would also record 4 points. Moving on to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson had another spectacular night, scoring 36 points, 11 assists, and 3 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns would follow right behind him with 20 points and 7 rebounds. Right behind them, also tying in with his teammate Miles Bridges, who had 20 points, 2 assists, and 7 rebounds. Anunoby had 16 points, 1 assist, and 5 rebounds. And then Josh Hart only had 6 points with 6 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson had 6 points with 9 rebounds, and then McBride with 5 points. Also yesterday, the All-NBA team was officially selected yesterday, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading the way in the first team. He would be followed also with Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Donovan Mitchell. Moving on to the All-NBA second team, that would be Evan Mobley, Stephen Curry, Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, and Jalen Brunson. I forgot the 5th guy in the first one, so if I'll give you that, I'll give you that on Monday and recorrect that for myself. Moving on now to Major League Baseball. We had a game last night as the Texas Rangers faced the Chicago White Sox in Chicago as they tried to get rid of a 4-game losing skid. In the bottom of the third, the White Sox, though, would have a 3-run inning as Miguel Vargas would get a walk that scored Lewin Sosa. Andrew Benintendi with the sac fly to center field would score Josh Rojas. Luis Robert would get an RBI single to score Mike Tauchman. Moving on to the top of the sixth, an RBI double was the only run from the Rangers as Jake Berger would score Wyatt Langford out of that. Could have gotten two, but unfortunately Josh Young was thrown out at the plate. And then the White Sox would add one more run as Richie Palacios would have an RBI single that scored Luis Robert. Tyler Mahle was on the mound last night for the Rangers. Unfortunately, he gave up 3 earned runs in that. Bush Lee was also in there, along with Cole Winn out of the bullpen. Seattle continues their hot winning stretch as they win 5-3 over the Astros. Then Kumar Rocker had his rehab start last night with the Frisco Rough Riders. He went 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, and 3 strikeouts in that rehab start. Rangers versus White Sox will happen today at 3:10 on Victory Plus. Jack Leiter gets the ball for the Rangers, and Jonathan Cannon for the White Sox. Also, Ronald Acuna Jr. returned to the lineup last night for the Atlanta Braves. He hit a home run in his first at-bat back, but the Padres, though, would beat the Braves 2-1. Moving on now to coverage from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series last night. The NC Education Lottery 200 happened last night. The pole went to Gio Ruggiero, and then the win last night would be the 4th win of the season for Corey Heim. He'd be followed by, in second place, Ross Chastain. 3rd was Caden Honeycutt. 4th was Lane Riggs. 5th was Kyle Busch. 6th was Grant Enfinger. 7th was Matt Mills. 8th was Daniel Hemrick. 9th was Roger Carruth. And 10 was Connor Jones. Also in Cup Series news, William Byron officially signed a deal with Hendrick Motorsports through 2029. Going on today at 3:30 p.m. over on the CW, the BetMGM 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Good news for junior motorsports fans yesterday, as Connor Zilisch will be able to return today to the racetrack at Charlotte. He will be back in the 88 after an injury at Talladega just a few weeks ago. He will also be running double duty in the Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow, as he will be in the Red Bull 87 for Team Trackhouse on Sunday. Austin Dillon will also be back in the Xfinity Series. He's driving the number 3 today. Chase Briscoe will also be part of that race in the 19, and William Byron will also be in the number 17 machine in the Xfinity race tomorrow. By the way, the biggest motorsports day will be happening tomorrow, as F1, IndyCar, and the NASCAR Cup Series will be going on. Like I told y'all a couple days ago, F1 at 8 a.m. on ABC, IndyCar at 11:45, I believe, on Fox. Pre-game gets going at 9, so you won't miss it. And then at 4 o'clock, the Coca-Cola, or 5 o'clock, the Coca-Cola 600 on Prime Video. Let's now talk about the PGA Tour, as the second round of the Charles Schwab Challenge officially happened yesterday. Ben Griffin and Matt Schmid are your leaders at the end of round 2. Ricky Fowler with a solid day is in 6 under now. Tom Kim is 2 under. A rare over par day happened yesterday for Scotty Scheffler, as he's now 1 under. And Jordan Spieth is only at even par. On the cut, though, were Tom Hodge, Davis Riley, who was last year's winner of the Charles Schwab Challenge, and Maverick McNeely, and many others. You can catch the coverage right now on ESPN Plus and Golf Channel, and then at 2 or 3 p.m. over on CBS. Let's now wrap up with some last few DVFW sports games that you should be keeping your eyes on today. The Dallas Wings and Atlanta Dream just started over on CBS Sports Network. The Arlington Renegades at the Memphis Showboats is going on right now on ABC. And the Dallas Trinity FC, trying to secure their playoff spot against Fort Lauderdale FC, is currently happening tonight on Peacock at 6:30 p.m. Well, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this long-form recap of the Wylie Sports Guy. I'm your host, Clayton Ensley. I will see y'all Monday. Oh, and I forgot, like and subscribe, and keep Jesus first. God bless. Don't mess with Texas. Like I said, I'll see y'all Monday.